Take two. Stop live stream. Go to Facebook. Next. Also think, just what's a good nugget that we can offer,
Yeah.
Because I think before it was good, but we talked to, I think we went kind of deep. I mean, I don't mind going deep, but I want to give them something practical for speakers.
Yeah. Um, do we want to talk about funny words?
That's not bad. Oh, only me. Why does it come up that way? Public.
That was, like what was it? That could have it. Is it just me or the pickle? That pickle line?
The pickle
Although we
sniffer.
the what?
The pickle sniffer.
Yes.
Okay, why are you not letting me?
While you're doing that, I'm gonna go.
Yep. It seems like it's. Whoop. Audio broadcaster. It seems like it's the right settings. I'm not sure, but all right. View, gallery, camera, boom. All right, we'll give this a shot.
All right.
And here we go. And looks like 3, 2. What crap? I didn't tag you. I don't know if we're live or not. It says we're live on Facebook. I'm not exactly sure. Hey there, Stephanie, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Darren?
Okay, appears that we are live.
Yay. Awesome.
Changing it up. Hey, so if you're out there listening to this and you're a presenter, speaker, author, coach, we want to talk about humor and getting more laughs. I'm sitting down with my friend, my dear friend, Stephanie McHugh, who is a stand-up comic, also a speaker, also a humor coach. And so Stephanie talked to me. What are some of the mistakes you see presenters make? And by the way, before you answer that, I'm going to keep an eye on the chat. So if you got a question for us, please type it in the chat and I will keep an chat. Comment section. We're on Facebook. Duh. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
talk.
I would say some of the things that people make mistakes about is they think if you're not funny the first time you say something, then you're not funny or it's not going to work. And that's just not how the process of humor works. You try things out, you finesse it. It's like a big ball of clay that's just a big mud ball, and you got to shape it to get it to that pretty little joke mug. I don't know why I said mug, because those are the only things I've made with clay. There, yes, that's right. Look at that big mug. So,
You are amazing.
thank you. Who said that?
Amanda Mae Gray.
Oh, Amanda May Gray. Thank you so much. I feel the same about you. And so that's not the case. There's tools and processes you can do to get a few little nuggets out there.
I think a lot of people don't get that there's formulas that work out there, and that's what we teach at the humor boot camp. But it's wait a minute, it's not all just them winging it. You know, we see the end result. I remember watching one of the ones I studied early on was Robin Williams live at the Met. And it was amazing hearing an interview after the fact with someone how they filmed that. And that even though Robin Williams is amazing at improv, he still had his normal ideas and routines. And so they took somebody's camera from the audience and he went up on stage and did a 10-minute routine about it. Well, he probably already had some of those ideas because chances are someone at a Robin Williams concert is going to have, in the old days, is going to have a camera taking pictures. So that setup is there, but then it looks so amazing because it's like he just walked out in the audience and got that. Anyway.
Exactly, right. And he is trained in improv, so he's kind of trained his mind to be open and present to whatever is happening. So that's another layer of that also
Yeah.
that you can use. You know, just be ready. Don't be so focused on getting your next line out, which I totally fall into this category, I have to say, being a stand-up comedian. But you got to be open, because if something happens, if a glass drops or if someone says something, something happens, you want to be ready to say a little line about it. And if you're so focused on what you're going to say next, you're not open to that spontaneity.
You're going to miss the moment.
Right.
Miss the moment. That's why being present, and I think improv is so important. That's why we started teaching improv class, thanks to Kevin Burke, because we realize it's such a tool and skill and people can work on it, but it's a muscle. But if you're not doing it, I think one idea is people want laughs, but they don't necessarily want to do the work to get there. And it's a little bit of work, but the cool thing is the work can be fun. And Stephanie, you didn't know I was going to do this, but way back in the day, I found the book, Stand Up Comedy, the book. But what I found, Stephanie, was note cards where I was actually dissecting jokes. And I forgot I did this work, and it's crazy. And it's just people, I think it's almost like if you want to learn another language, you could take a class. Let's say you wanted to learn Italian. You could take a class, or you could move to Italy and immerse yourself in, people who are doing it and speaking it. And I just think, that's immersion, total immersion. You got to choose to become a student of humor. It's not just like, oh, let me go dip my toe in the water. You might get an idea or two, but I think there's so much. So I was looking at my homework and my note cards, and
What's one of the jokes?
uh, so I think this was from evening, uh, Robin Williams' Evening at the Improv, I think, or
Yeah.
and he talks about he was in San Francisco. He talks about earthquakes. Not funny to do here. And then he goes, God's way of saying, "Get those condominiums off my back." And so that becomes like a local joke, even funnier there. And I think that's an idea for us. When I went from stand-up comedy to speaking, I realized that the audience has a commonality that in a comedy club, you don't have any commonalities. You only have they're there in that city. Now, you did cruise ships, so you had commonalities on the cruise ship. So we're trying to find a way to tap into that frustration of the audience. So when you were on cruise ships, doing cruise ships, and for those of you listening, she actually got locked down on a cruise ship, like when all this craziness started. So I don't know how you dealt with that, but bless you.
We did go code red the last couple of days that I was on the cruise ship. So there was no more buffet. Everybody had to be served, which feels like first world problems, really, with COVID going on now. But yeah, you had all the crew members had to wash their hands twice before we ate, and then once afterwards. They would watch us, make sure we did that. But I would say too, Darren, I know you're saying there's no commonality when you go to a comedy club, but before you get in front of everyone, there's some kind of commonality, whether it's something happening in that city or maybe the comic or the presenter before you said something that you can add. I'm just always looking for something. It's not as easy as like if you're on a cruise ship or you're presenting for a conference or something. Like on the cruise ship, there tends to be like sometimes it's spring break. So one week you'll go, holy crap, there's a lot of kids on this one. And then the next week you may see a couple family reunions, a lot of people with matching t-shirts or something. There's something that'll happen. And that's where, and then you find the pain about that is what I go through, and then find the joke, which is what Robin Williams did right there. Talked about
Find on the cruise ship, because I really want presenters to see they actually have some advantages and know what they are, is the fact that if it's all entrepreneurs, well, they have a common frustration. If it's frontline telemarketers and that's your group, well, they have a common frustration. Entrepreneurs frustrated about their employees, not me though, Regina, but most of the commoners. Anyway, so everyone has that built-in frustration. So tell us about what did you do like with the cruise ship? Because I know you created some humor there.
Yeah. What's coming up to my mind right now is I also perform for the Dames, a women's entrepreneur group, when they open a new chapter. And so I talked to the women, the president of that chapter beforehand, just to get ideas. So Scottsdale, I said, so what are some of the things about Scottsdale? And she said, well, we're called Snotsdale a lot, or Snobsdale. It's a lot of rich people that are really snobby. And I thought, God, what can I do with that? Because you kind of don't want to make fun. You don't want to be mean necessarily to them. So then I just thought, they're super nice, super sweet people. I'm like, they're not good at it. They suck at being snotty, they're snobby. So I went that route. Maybe they don't know. They should go back and figure it out. So you just kind of look at it from different angles. And I just spent like a day or two, just going around thinking while I'm doing everything else. I just sort of, it's running around in my head. How can I go about it? And that's what I came up with.
Yeah, I like what you said too. Like, where's the pain? Where's that frustration? Where are the pet peeves of this group here? And
right.
It's like you can't, like, once you train your brain to look for these things, you're like, well, there's nothing funny going on. Or people, or Toastmasters come in September when the humor contest is coming on, and they say, well, how do I find a funny story? It's like, look in the mirror. But the challenge is they're looking for the wrong things. They're looking for the funny things when we need to look for the pain, the frustration. So
exactly.
we go deeper on that. Even one of my favorite principles to teach speakers and presenters is, in the old days when we used to have live conferences, I would teach them to go to the registration desk, because that's where people complain. Dave Fitzgerald, my comedy mentor, says comedians are people who get paid to complain. But they twisted it and they found a funny way to do it. So if we start training our brain to look for the right fodder, and I think that's, when we hang around with comics, like I love this banter. I love talking shop with other people who are fully immersed and do this. It's like, ooh, where do you find, ooh, how did you look at, ooh, how did you think? And I just think there's so much more potential there if people would train their brains to look for the funny.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. The pain. And then what's the angle on it? Yeah. That you want to take. Yes.
You telling some stories too of when you're on the cruise ship, that like at the beginning, there's like stages of being on a cruise ship.
Exactly. Yeah. So there is one thing about, I'm basically by myself. I mean, you get to know, there's two other comics and you get to know them throughout the week. But I notice when people are on the first day, everyone's so excited and they have their mixed drink with the little umbrella in it, and they're all walking around the cruise ship checking everything out, and it's wonderful. And then I was walking upstairs because I never take the elevator, and it's 16 levels. So I walk up to the 16th level from like the 5th level, and I heard someone just complaining to someone else, like, "Wake up, Karen," and I'm like, "Wow," it changes. Like 2 days, the honeymoon. There's a honeymoon phase of the cruise ship, and by like about the second or third day, people are tired of being with their family. It's worn off, and they're done. They're in a tiny little cabin, and they just want to get away. So I would make fun of. That's one of the jokes that I would say later on in the week. We do about 12 shows in 1 week. So that's one that I saved for a little bit later, because they're getting cranky sometimes. Burn. Hung up. Yeah.
I had a mentor named as Rosemary Very back in New England, and one of the differences she talking about speaking versus comedy is she said that the problem is funny, our solution is serious.
Mm.
So we make fun of the problem that we're there to help them with, but our solution is serious. And it was brilliant. It's like we connect on the problem. So like we teach people how do you find things that are relatable? Well, you just said on a cruise ship, how there's at the beginning, it's the honeymoon phase, and then people start complaining. Well, if I'm on a cruise ship and I remember it was great the first 2 days, and now, mom and dad are they're complaining now, and they're grumpy or crabby or something, like, I can relate to what you're saying, but you've seen it so much on so many cruise ships, and you're looking for that commonality, and they think, wow, it's like, she gets me. She understands me. And now I'm leaning in. I want to hear what else you have to say.
Right. Well, and that's if you're a presenter too, like if you say, if you're presenting on cruise ships, like how to have a great time on a cruise ship, and you say, maybe you want to take a break for yourself on Wednesday, because you might not remember that. But if you tell a funny story right before that, someone's getting angry, then they're more likely to remember that tip that you gave them. So that's another reason why I think humor is awesome, is it helps people remember, later, helps anchor it in their mind.
Yeah, it's like you get them to laugh, and right after the big laugh, you slide in your message because their mouth is open, just like, there you go. Kane says, I feel a big part of humor is delivery. How do you practice delivery? Do you laugh at your own jokes? If not, how do you do that? Stephanie?
Kane, that's a great question. I think delivery is, I just kind of I sort of have a pre-show, just kind of get in the zone, sort of clear my mind so that I can just focus on being on there and having my set, have a clear idea of what I want to say, so that I'm not going, that's my little filler word that I do if I'm not sure. And then I go with it. And I do laugh at my own jokes. I don't know. I've heard some people say they don't like that. I don't know if I don't straight out laugh, but I kind of laugh as if my delivery is sort of more like I would be talking to 3 or 4 people at a party. That's how I am on stage too. And that's just my own delivery. And I'm not going to change it, because it's how I am. So Kane, I think I don't think you need to have it. I think you just, whatever sort of speaks to you and how you deliver is what you want to go with. And then once you find it, just sort of, amp it up and keep going with it. But that's my thought. What is your thought, Darren?
I remember Dave Fitzgerald, one of my comedy mentors, he laughed his butt off at himself. But I think I'd like to say it depends. If you're trying to do it to cover the fact that nobody else laughed, it's insincere. I think the audiences today are so savvy that they can tell. So if you are telling your joke and it's cracking you up and you laugh and it's sincere, go for it. The problem when we're trying to make up, did you? And it's like that, your own nervous laughter. So I think it's just like, Robin Williams was not Stephen Wright. and Stephen Wright couldn't deliver Robin Williams' material the way Robin Williams did, as well as Steve, vice versa. So it's got to be your own authentic self. Now, some comedians are characters. Well, they have to stay true to the sincerity of that character, like Larry the Cable Guy or something like that.
Right.
So if it cracks you up, Kane, or if you're listening to this, then let it go. Just be there in the moment. If you think it's funny, laugh. And if they don't laugh, that's okay, but you can't force it where your intention is to get them to laugh. So I don't know. It's a long answer. And going back to how do you practice delivery? I know in all this craziness, people think this is horrible. Well, it is horrible, and it's got some advantages. So when I was in Toastmasters, if I wanted to go to speak to 3 Toastmaster groups in a day, I would get up early, go to a breakfast club, go to my day job, extended lunch, go to another club. I had to drive. Now all you got to do is click a different link. There's 8,000 Toastmaster clubs around for those of you who are Toastmasters. And if you're not, hey, here's a great place to practice your delivery. The cool thing is you can see everyone if they're doing it in a meeting format. So I think the opportunity now is more than people think if you just use the tools and use the environment. And I don't think you can, my personal opinion, I know people say, legend has it, Jim Carrey would practice faces in the mirror. But I don't think you can like practice your own delivery alone other than just trying to internalize it. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I lately, because I have a big show coming up in April, actually, and I don't have the opportunity to perform it live, and it is going to be live when I do it. So I just created a match game for myself. So I put all my jokes on index cards cut in half. And so then I try and find them, lay them down, play the match game. And then when I find the match, then I say the joke to myself. And then when I'm done, I put them all in order. So it's kind of a different way because I find I get bored or sidetracked if I just sort of try and mentally go over my set. I stop. So it's just a different way. And it shows me different ways of orders and potentially putting my jokes in or maybe coming up with another one and things like that. So that's kind of a weird way to go about it. But I don't have the opportunity to perform live as much as I need to or would like to get ready for this big gig. So I just did that.
Yeah. When I was working on Ouch, I suck at memorizing. So I went to my church where I used to live, and I had my dad come with me, and I took like big 8.5 by 11 pieces of card stock, and I wrote like my key lines for each of my stories, and I placed them on different parts of the stage, and I just had my dad point, like you're saying, randomly, and I would
Uh-huh.
place in the stage. But eventually I anchored. I know if I was standing over here, 238,799.5 miles. If I was standing over here, VNI, valuable negative information. But just like you, I didn't have it as one whole set list. I was just doing those bits, if you will, stories,
Yeah.
if you will. And so it helped me not have it all in order. I remember, do you have I know you got to get back to work. Me too. But do you think of, while I'm telling this, think of one time, like one faux pas you had, like a Stephanie bombing story early on. So I remember I would be early on, I was trying to memorize. Vinny, when he was teaching us, had us write everything out word for word. I get it. Now I understand. I got to just, okay, internalize it, but then be in the moment and don't worry about word for word. But back in the day, I would be up on stage and I would be going through my set routine, and I would say, if you're in your head, your emotions are dead. And I would go through it, and I would get to like a certain point, and and then I looked over at the lamp, and somebody would either heckle me or just say, that was funny. And I'd be like, crap, I lost my place. And in my place, I'd have to go back and read through the whole script quickly and then continue from there because I knew it word for word. So it was a danger back then. Anyway, any good Stephanie made?
Yeah. It was probably about 10 years ago, but I was traveling and I had a show at a winery. And normally I don't drink normally I don't drink hardly at all. And I definitely don't drink before a show, but it was a winery and I had one glass before. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I have a joke that I've done so many times where I say, there's stranger danger for kids, but there's stranger danger for women too. Always meet in a public place. And then I got a laugh. And I'm like, why am I getting a laugh in the setup? And it was the same thing. I like had to rewind my brain and I go, did I say restroom? And they go, yeah, you did. So I said, always meet in a public restroom. And I have no idea why I said that. And the headliner, I always record all my sets. So in that one, you can hear her laughing. And I'm like, I don't know why. Why did I say that? And so then I said, what I meant to say was always meet in a public place. So again, that's a perfect opportunity. I just messed up. And I mean, it wasn't, so you just have to be present in the moment and kind of go, I did not mean that, and laugh with them that I did laugh with them, and then just keep going and get back on track.
Man, I think you should stick with that line. That's a funny line.
That, yeah.
Always meet in a public restroom. Yeah, there you go.
I don't know why. Yeah, I did that. I always picture though in my brain, because I had kids who watched SpongeBob SquarePants, and there's one episode where he's being a waiter for Squidward, and he's doing everything perfect, and then the guy goes, "What's your name?" And he could not remember his name, so they go to his brain, and there's like 5 SpongeBob, and they're going through all the files. They're like, "What is it?" That's what I feel like when I mess, when you can't find the word. I've got 5 Bobs in my head trying to find it for me.
That's funny. I think you said something too that's brilliant. I hope everyone picks up on this. You got to record yourself every time, especially even if you're a presenter just working on a story. You never know when that word will pop out, like restroom, where it becomes funny and then it becomes part of your routine from now on, let's say. So if you don't record it, you're going to miss some gold that happens in the moment.
Right.
I
Or
tell
how you say something. Sometimes you get a laugh. I'm like, why did I get a laugh there? And it's how you said it. You said the same words, but you said it differently. So you won't be able to know until you go back and listen.
Yeah, be a student of your own storytelling. And do you agree, Stephanie? At the beginning, it's painful. Like you don't want to listen to yourself. But when you can focus on, okay, my goal is not to critique myself. My goal is what can I use to make it better? What do I got to stop doing? So if we can focus on how will this help our next presentation, you won't overanalyze yourself and your delivery. So anyway, Stephanie, I know you got to go.
I gotta go.
You're a busy lady. If you want to join us for the humor boot camp, we're going to do 2 days next week. We're going to go all in, really deep, walk you through 17 laughter generating exercises. We say, give us 2 days and we'll change the way you think about humor. We'll make you funnier for life. So check out the humor boot camp and use this discount code STEPH25 and get 25% off and join us. Depending on when you're watching this, tonight, Thursday, when we're recording this, there's an early bird special. So you get a lower price too, but the discount code will work even on the lower price if you check it out. So Stephanie, always love chatting with you. Regina is a huge fan of yours as well. Can't wait till we do this live. Thanks for joining me, and we're going to have fun next week.
Yeah, thanks, Darren. Bye.
See y'all.